Imagine your HOA president stomping across your backyard in wedge heels like she owns the dirt under your feet, screaming that the path you're fixing is community property and you're basically a criminal for touching it. That's how Barbara Ellison tried to rewrite reality in Willow Creek Estates, and how one quiet Saturday morning turned into the most delicious public implosion I've ever witnessed. My name's Ryan Harper. I'm the guy who works from home, keeps his lawn mowed, and until recently, minded his own business. The neighbors had whispered about me for years. Barb made sure of that. He never comes to block parties, probably thinks he's too good for us. Single guy in a family neighborhood. You know? Nothing outright vicious at first. Just enough to make people side-eye me at the mailbox. I let it slide. I'm not the type to scream on next door. But when erosion started carving a dangerous ditch along the walking path that skirts the back of my property, I decided enough was enough. The path had always been there. My deed from 2009 clearly showed it running across the rear 20 feet of my lot before connecting to the community green space in Kids Park. It wasn't some grand public trail, just a convenient shortcut residents used to walk dogs or let kids cut through safely. But years of foot traffic and rain had turned parts of it into a mud pit. One kid had already twisted an ankle. So on a crisp Saturday, I was out there in old jeans, spreading gravel and setting pressure-treated edging to make it solid again. I even planned a simple wooden gate at my property line, not to lock anyone out, just to slow down the teenagers who'd been racing scooters and chewing up the edges. That's when I heard the crunch of heels on gravel and the voice that could curdle milk. Ryan Harper. What in heaven's name do you think you're doing? Barbara Ellison, president of the Willow Creek HOA for 6 glorious years, stood there in a pastel pink blouse, clipboard pressed to her chest like a shield of righteousness. Her blonde bob didn't move in the breeze, it was shellacked into submission. Oversized sunglasses. Fake smile already cracking at the edges. Morning, Barb, I said, wiping sweat from my forehead. Just fixing the path. It's a safety hazard. Her jaw tightened. You can't just alter common areas without board approval. This path serves the entire neighborhood. It's for everyone. I pointed behind her with the shovel. Actually, this section is on my deeded property. Starts at my back fence. Ends at the property line marker right there. I've got the plat map and survey if you want to see them. She laughed, that high, tinkling laugh she used when she was about to drop the hammer. Oh, honey. The HOA has maintained this path for years. That makes it ours. You're not allowed to gate it or improve it without a vote. You're privatizing community space. That's against every covenant we have. I stayed calm. I'd dealt with her kind before. It's not common area, Barb. Never was. And I'm not blocking it, I'm making it usable. The gate will have a code. Neighbors can text me and I'll share it. I'm just keeping the ATVs and delivery scooters from tearing it up. Her face shifted from patronizing to furious in a heartbeat. Cheeks flushing. Eyes narrowing behind the sunglasses. This is exactly the kind of selfish behavior we've come to expect from you, Ryan. First you skip every community event. Now you're trying to wall us off from safe access to the park. Think of the children. There it was. The children card. Played like a royal flush. I shrugged. Kids are welcome. Dogs too. Just not dirt bikes at 2 a.m. I've got the documents. Barb. Want to see them or should we call code enforcement and settle this now? She pulled out her phone. Already dialing. Oh. We're way past that. I'm calling the authorities. And the rest of the board. You've crossed a line. 10 minutes later, a county code enforcement officer rolled up in a white truck. Barb met him at the curb like a general briefing troops, gesturing wildly. I handed over my folder, deed, survey, even an old email from the original developer confirming the boundary. The officer studied them, walked the property line with a measuring wheel, then nodded. Looks like Mr. Harper's correct. Ma'am. This section is on his parcel. He can maintain it. As long as he doesn't completely block public access, which he says he won't, I don't see a violation. Barb's mouth opened. Closed. Then opened again. But we've always treated it as common area. The covenants. Covenants can't override recorded deeds. Ma'am, the officer said. Already heading back to his truck. Take it up in civil court if you've got proof otherwise. The look on her face, pure, unfiltered shock mixed with rage, was almost beautiful. Her perfectly lined lips pressed into a thin white line. She spun on those ridiculous heels and stormed off, muttering about people who think rules don't apply to them. I went back to spreading gravel, whistling. I figured that was the end of it. I was wrong. By Monday, the neighborhood group chat was on fire. Screenshots of Barb's email blasted out, urgent, one resident attempting to restrict vital pedestrian access to the park. This endangers our children and devalues all our homes. Emergency board meeting this Thursday at my house. Attendance strongly encouraged. Then the whispers started again. Louder this time. Ryan's always been antisocial. Remember when he complained about the 4th of July fireworks? Probably hates families. My kid said he yelled at him for riding his bike too fast on the path last year. None of it was true. But it didn't matter. Barb had been seeding those rumors for years. And now she was harvesting them. I stayed quiet. Watched. Saved every screenshot. Printed every email. I'd learned patience the hard way. Thursday night, I showed up at Barb's McMansion with a folder thicker than her HOA binder. The living room was packed, 30 neighbors crammed on folding chairs, sipping her overly sweet lemonade. Barb stood at the front in a floral dress, clipboard in one hand, a stack of printed petitions in the other. We cannot allow one individual to undermine the spirit of our community, she declared, voice dripping with practiced sincerity. This path has been a shared treasure for years. If we let Ryan gate it, what's next? Fences blocking the whole neighborhood? We must vote to enforce the covenants and require him to remove any alterations immediately. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the room. A few people avoided my eyes. I stood up slowly. Before we vote, I have a couple questions. First, has anyone actually seen the recorded documents showing this path as common area? Barb smiled sweetly. It's been understood for years. Ryan. Usage creates rights. Funny you mention rights, I said, pulling out the papers. Because last week I pulled the latest county records. Turns out someone filed a quitclaim deed transferring a 12-foot strip of my land, the exact path section, to the HOA. Dated 3 months ago. Seller listed as me. Except I never signed anything. Never sold anything. And the notary stamp? It's from a guy who retired 2 years ago. The room went dead silent. I held up the document and the original survey side by side. Here's my real signature from the house closing. And here's the signature on the quitclaim. They don't even look close. Plus, no payment record. No witness. Just poof. My land becomes yours. Barb's face drained of color. But she recovered fast. That's confidential board business. You have no right. It's public record. Barb. Anyone can pull it. And funny thing, right after this fake deed was filed, The county updated their maps to show a new community easement right through my backyard. Almost like someone used forged paperwork to pressure them. Gasps. A retired accountant in the back stood up. "Barbara. Is this true?" Her voice went shrill. "I was protecting the neighborhood. The path is vital. Ryan was going to lock us out, I had to act." I laughed. Low and cold. "You forged my name on a legal document to steal a strip of my yard because I wanted to fix a muddy path and add a gate with a neighbor code. That's not protection. Barb. That's theft with extra steps." The meeting exploded. People who'd been nodding along minutes earlier were now staring at her like she'd grown horns. One mom whose kid used the path daily looked ready to throw her lemonade. Barb's carefully constructed mask cracked wide open. Her hands shook so hard the clipboard rattled. "You're twisting this. I only did what was best for property values. For the children." A neighbor named Mike, usually quiet, spoke up. "Barb. You told us Ryan was blocking emergency access. You said he hated kids. Now this? I'm calling the county recorder first thing tomorrow." I didn't need to say much more. The damage was done. People started leaving. Whispering. Barb stood alone in her perfect living room, surrounded by half-empty chairs and the ruins of her authority. The real fireworks came next. By Monday, the county recorder's office had flagged the deed. Tuesday, a detective from the fraud unit showed up at my door asking questions. Wednesday, deputies executed a search warrant at Barb's house. I watched from down the street as boxes of files and her laptop left in evidence bags. Her husband stood on the porch looking like he'd aged 10 years. The neighborhood chat went nuclear. Screenshots leaked, emails where Barb pressured board members to support the easement for the greater good and threatened to expose their own minor violations if they didn't play ball. Turns out the missing HOA landscaping funds had quietly gone toward legal research on the path issue. Her cousin's company got the checks. At the next official HOA meeting, the board was suspended pending investigation. New elections were called. Residents who'd never spoken up before started proposing changes, term limits, transparent spending, actual votes on big decisions instead of Barb's executive suggestions. Barb tried one last desperate play. In a tearful email to the whole neighborhood, she claimed she'd been misled by bad advice and was only trying to preserve our way of life. The reply-all thread that followed was brutal. Even her longtime allies distanced themselves. 2 months later, the district attorney filed charges, felony forgery, fraudulent conveyance, and misuse of HOA funds. Barb took a plea, probation, restitution, and 300 hours of community service teaching ethics at the local library. The irony was chef's kiss. The path? I finished it. The gate went up, simple cedar. Keypad access. I posted the code in the group chat with a note, for neighbors only. Text me if it changes. Let's keep it safe for everyone. Kids still use it. Dogs still poop on it. And nobody tears it up with scooters anymore. Most importantly, the neighborhood feels different. People actually talk now instead of nodding politely while Barb pulled strings. A few even apologized to me for believing the rumors. I told them it was water under the bridge, or in this case, gravel over the path. Here's the thing about people like Barb. They don't start with grand evil schemes. They start with little power trips. A fine for your trash cans being out too long. A strongly worded letter about your holiday lights. Then one day they decide the rules they enforce on everyone else don't apply when it's their turn to want something. They wrap it in community and values and the children until the mask slips and you see the naked hunger underneath. I didn't set out to destroy anyone. I just wanted to fix a path on my own damn property. But when someone forges your name to steal what's yours, patience runs out. Standing your ground isn't antisocial. Sometimes it's the most neighborly thing you can do, because it reminds everyone else they have rights too. The next time your HOA Karen comes at you with a clipboard and a smile that doesn't reach her eyes, remember this story. Keep your documents. Keep your cool. And when the time is right, let the truth do the heavy lifting. So, was I the villain for refusing to hand over part of my yard to satisfy one woman's control issues? Or was Barb the real threat, the one who poisoned an entire neighborhood with lies and forged paperwork just to stay in power? If this happened on your street, would you speak up or would you just keep waving politely at the block party? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one.